Well, hello everybody.
Hello again.
How's it going? Welcome back to the Sumo Digital Studios. We are once again talking more Snake Pass. I am David Dino, designer, analyst, and snake charmer, as you can see over there on the card. And of course, we have the designer and creator of Snake Pass. Once again, Seblise.
Hello.
How are you doing? Did I say that right?
Good, yeah. Yeah, that's correct.
Good, all right. You would think so. I should know this by now. But we are here to talk about how to control Snake Pass. Gotten a lot of, as we get closer and closer to release, we've gotten a lot of questions about how does Noodle actually control and whatnot. And the thing is, it's a lot simpler than it seems. It may look really complicated because, you know, it's a snake, he's moving around left and right. Some people ask, oh, is it automated? No, you are controlling everything. And with several simple controls, Seb will show you how you control Noodle, how you can start thinking like a snake. So if you don't mind, go ahead and starting, please. What do we have first?
So let's start with the basic controls. Let's look at what the sticks do. First of all, I can start moving the right stick, and as you can see, it will rotate the camera around, just like any old platformer, really. Then the left stick will start controlling his head. You can see I'm just wiggling it left and right, and it repositions his head. You can sort of point it in a direction, and this is camera relative, which means if I point up now, he's going to face away from the screen. If I rotate the camera and point up, again, he's going to face away from the screen. So the controls change depending on your camera angle, or relative to your camera angle.
That's always good to know. And considering we were talking about camera angles as well, are there choices for inverted controllers?
Yes, personally I like it uninverted, so
Yeah.
if I move my right stick up, I look up. But yeah, there's an option in the controls to invert the camera.
Excellent, excellent. So does that mean I've been playing with non-invert the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Maybe I'll finally jump the,
Maybe you
the dark
make the
side
transition
over there, yeah.
finally.
But for those who like to play with the inverted camera controls, it is there for you.
You can, yeah.
Yes, definitely. So how do we get moving?
Well, the left stick exactly only moves the head.
Right.
So it points you in a direction. And then the key is to use the right trigger to stretch out your body. So in this case I'm all curled up, so if I press the right trigger I will get quite a bit of momentum because all those curves can be stretched out.
Yeah.
But as you can see, as soon as the curves are done, I'm going really slow.
Right. Snakes don't move like that in real life anyway, right?
A real snake can't move in a straight line. That was a little bit too punishing for the game, so instead you move really slow in a straight line.
Okay.
But as soon as you use the left stick combined with the right trigger to create curves in your body,
Right.
you can get speed.
So in like I think you mentioned this before, but you're essentially constricting and releasing that gigantic muscle.
Yeah, it's like
right.
the snake body is essentially one giant muscle, and just like any old muscle, before you can stretch it out, you have to bend it first, or the other way around. Before you can bend it, you have to stretch it first. So in this case, before I can stretch out my snake to get anywhere, I need to bend it first using the left stick to create curves.
Cool.
And if you combine these two things, the right trigger and the left stick, you get this signature snake pass movement.
And depending on what console of your choice as well, it'll be the R2 button if it's a PlayStation 4. I believe it's ZR on the Switch as well. So
yeah, the big trigger.
Yes, exactly.
The gas pedal, and which is sort of also acts as.
Yes.
You hold the right trigger to accelerate.
Yeah, we say it's like controlling a weird car, isn't it?
Yeah, a weird car that can only drive in wiggly lines.
Like drifting almost in a way, kind of.
Yeah.
Excellent.
On top of that, there's actually one more control for the basic movement, and that's just the A button, which lifts his head. So the button that you usually use to jump in most platforming games in our game, you use that just to lift your head. And if
I didn't even connect those two actually. That lifting the head is almost essentially jumping, but you don't really jump in this game.
Exactly. Yeah. But it is in a logical spot, and if you then combine that button with the trigger, you start getting movement forward while holding your head up, and if you then combine that with the left stick, you get the full 360 degrees control.
Get a little snake dance going on as well. Yeah. That's sweet. So yeah, those are essentially the three basic controls that you need to know in order to move Noodle around, right?
Yeah, that's the most basic movement you can do with those three, and even more complicated things like wrapping around stuff like I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Is only using those three controls.
Excellent. And you have full control of what's happening right there. Like we said, nothing is animated at all, correct?
Yeah, the face animations.
Yeah.
But even them I have a little bit control over. I can use the directional buttons.
Oh, that's right,
to
yeah.
change the expressions on the snake.
Yeah,
So if you like role playing and you're about to do a scary challenge, you can make them look extra scary before you do it. And then when you made it, you can make it extra cheerful.
Nice. And so you have different levels of animation, of feeling anyway, depending on how many times you press up, down, left, right on the D-pad, or whatever, console controller that you're particularly using. Cool. So all those complicated things like wrapping under, wrapping over, so on and so forth, those are just done with those 3 controls, like we said.
Yeah, and that's also where a part of the difficulty curve comes from. If you give the controller to a new player, most of them will just want to hold the right trigger and just go, go, go. But the key to the more complicated climbing is to really think about when to use which button, and really only use the right trigger when you're ready to move again. So I'll show it on this slightly more complicated bit here. What I'm doing is I'm constantly repositioning myself until I feel like I'm in a good position to move again. So in this case I'm pressing the A button to get up, then the right trigger to make the wrap around, and then I'm releasing it instantly everything again and make another wrap around. So it's very much a subtle way of using the buttons at the right time, rather than just holding everything and trying to bolt somewhere.
And if we go back to the car analogy, you wouldn't necessarily take a really tight turn just by holding the accelerator all the way through.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Then you would just crash.
You just want to essentially kind of feather it, let go, the whole 9. You take your time really more than anything else. Because it does take a bit to really think like a snake, but of course there are some players who just immediately get into it because they've always known that they've had that inner snake in them the whole time.
Yeah, so, and in a way there's no button to let your head go down.
Right.
So there's always gravity that has to do that for you. So essentially not pressing the A button is also a move. In this case, like I'm pressing the A button to go up, and then I'm releasing the A button to go down again.
Right.
So yeah, it looks complicated, but there's a very natural progression to learning this stuff, and if you play the game for 15 minutes, you'll do a lot of this stuff intuitively.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's another control that we haven't mentioned as well, even though you kind of just cut that really quickly. Yeah, it's okay. Just again, once again we go back to the car analogy, we do have an accelerator, and in a sense we also have a brake as well. And I believe that is the grip mechanic too.
Yeah, that's the last button. Is the left trigger. If you press the left trigger, you can see Noodle makes a difficult face, and what it actually does is it tenses all his muscles, so he will try to stay in the position that he is.
Right.
If you try to use it in a position that you're lost anyway, it's not going to save you. But it's very much useful to... I personally use it sort of as a panic button. When I feel like, ooh, I'm not sure if I'm going to make that, then I quickly press the left trigger,
right,
and he will try to stay where he is, and that will save you most of the time.
And it's definitely best used when you kind of have that loop around a particular bamboo pole or something like that, correct?
Yeah.
Because it's, I mean, the more points of contact you have, the better the grip will be.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's just in general with trying to climb things as well. The more points of contact you have, the easier it will be for Noodle to, I guess, scale all these things, so on and so forth.
Yeah, a real snake, if he wants to climb up something, he needs a lot of points of contact with his body, and that's the core mechanic of climbing in this game as well. The more percentage of your body is touching things, the more control you will have, and the more powerful you will be.
Right, right. And I believe there is one more thing we haven't talked about as well. We see this little Hummingbird Doodle flying all over the place. What is his function?
Well, he tells the story of the game, and he helps you out. He explains you how to play the game initially.
Right.
But he also has a practical application, which is on the Y button, the top button on the joypad. If you tap that, he will fly in and pick up your tail. And if you tap it again, he will release.
You can do this as many times as you want, right?
You can do it whenever you want, except for when your tail is underwater,
right,
or the bird, the Doodle cannot directly reach your tail, then he will refuse to do it.
Okay.
But most of the time he will just do it.
Oh, cool.
And that's very useful, especially in situations where Noodle is struggling with his tail. Like, it's a physics-based game, and the tail has weight to it, so when you're stuck in a situation like this, it can be quite difficult to get up again. and you can alleviate that by tapping the Y button, and in this case the Hummingbird will lift up your tail, which will make it much quicker and much easier to get up ledges like that.
And I believe people, in terms of speedrunning as well, because we do have time trials and everything like that, people actually use Doodle, I guess, theorizing that the less drag there is on the body of the snake, it makes you faster.
Yeah, we still haven't figured out exactly within the studio what is precisely the fastest way to move. Some people think that having Doodle pick up your tail and then make short wiggles is the fastest way.
Yeah.
I personally still think that getting the perfect slither rhythm is the fastest way.
I like doing the lift corkscrew and dropping the head.
Yeah, this is one
for a bit
move
momentum.
that you
Yeah,
see that a lot of people also do. I'm not convinced that it's actually fast, but we'll see once the game is out and the speedrunners get their hands on it. We'll know for sure what's the fastest way to move.
for you know, they like to find completely different ways of moving around too. So I'm sure we'll see something as well. It's like, wow, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
We've seen this game far too often, obviously, in the past year. But it's great to see people play really all in different ways too. I don't think there really is a wrong way of playing Snake Pass, because we all do it differently here at the studio. So really, hopefully,
it's just a few buttons used in a new way, and yeah, it will take 15 minutes or so to really get the hang of it. But even learning it, those 15 minutes are fun. Like, it's just so new and refreshing to have a character like that.
Because that in itself is a puzzle.
Yeah.
Anyway, just trying to figure out how to really think like a snake. And like we said, some people will pick it up faster than others, but altogether, I think people who get their hands on Snake Pass on the 28th in the US and the 29th in Europe of March, they'll definitely be able to harness their inner snake, really, and realize that the controls aren't that hard at
think
all.
like a snake.
Yeah, definitely think like a snake. So I think we can pretty much end it on that note. Hopefully, if you have any other questions, feel free to let us know on our Twitter, which is snake_patch. You can also hit us up on this on YouTube as well in the comment section, and anywhere else that we happen to be onto, Facebook, Snake Pass Game, so on and so forth. So from the Snake Pass team, thank you very much for watching. I am David Dino, and this is Seb Lees. Hopefully, we'll see you,
next time
on Snake Pass. Later, guys.